Welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast with Joshua Latimer, where we discuss business, life, family, faith, struggle, fire, pain, and ultimately winning.
It's time to take massive action. Look, I can't work harder on your life or business than you do. It's ultimately all on you.
You know, God created all the food the birds would ever need, but he doesn't put it in their nest. You've got to go get it.
10 out of 10 people die. So how about doing something today that actually matters while you still can? Hey everybody, Josh here. Welcome to the Quick Talk Podcast. I'm hanging out with my high school sweetheart, Ashley. We've been to hell and back. We've climbed mountains and crossed valleys and done crazy stuff in our businesses over the years. And I'm excited to talk to you. How you doing today?
I am doing great.
The topic, yesterday we talked about overcoming overwhelm, the big, dark, gloomy, tar-like substance that makes you get paralyzed and stops you from achieving things in business when you feel overwhelmed and you're hyperventilating. Today we're going to talk about productivity hacks, ninja tricks, which may or may not sound like it intrigues you, but I promise what we're going to cover is super valuable stuff.
Well, I have to tell you and admit that I'm a little nervous because after we did our podcast about overcoming overwhelm, I had a brief moment where I got overwhelmed. And so I had to use our own tips on it. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I just talked about this.
Yeah, that was like 24 hours ago. What happened? Tell us what happened briefly.
Oh, it's not important to what we're talking about. It just was a mom thing where someone's homework needed to be read and someone was hungry and someone needed a snack and someone just, had a bad time. She was just crying. And so I just had to rein it back in and not let everything make me overwhelmed. And I had to run to the store and I just decided to prioritize and get it done.
Make a list. Yeah. Well, this stuff happens in business all the time where you wake up optimistic on a Monday morning, you start working, and that really big job that you sold last week, you're excited, they cancel or they reschedule, or you get there and the homeowner's crazy, your employee doesn't show up, or he shows up late, or he smells like weed when he shows up, or something. Something will happen. Or you have a 3-day window to get this huge job done and it thunderstorms the whole time and now you're completely screwed, right? And then your kid gets sick and then your brakes go out. It feels endless, right?
Yes.
So I want to open up today's session, though, by making a claim. My claim is that I believe man was designed to produce stuff, to work, okay? So I was listening to an audiobook the other day, actually on accident because the Bluetooth in my truck just started playing this chapter. And the guy in the audiobook said, you ever have someone that tells you, yeah, you're working too much, man. You just need to slow down. Why don't you push pause? You're just working too much, life's about more than work. Have you guys ever had someone like that speak into your life? I know that I have, even recently, because I do work a lot. But there is a great sense of accomplishment when we build things. The problem comes, in my opinion, and I'll get your opinion, Ash, when you're working like a maniac, but you don't feel like you're being productive. You're not going anywhere. You're not building anything. You're not producing. Working and producing are not the same thing. I've said in the podcast a lot that there's a huge difference between working hard and having a high level of effort and actually being productive. They're not the same thing, and it feels good to work really hard if you're actually producing and building and creating. What do you think?
Yes, I always like to say that you need to work smarter, not harder. I have learned that from my husband, actually, is because sometimes we think that if we're just sweating, we must be accomplishing and producing stuff. But if we're not actually taking action into the right steps and working really smart, then maybe we aren't producing. But a great example is yesterday was take your child to work day, and Josh brought one of our sons in, and he actually felt so accomplished when he came home from work yesterday. His dad even paid him, but he actually went to actual work. He said, most kids aren't doing this at work today, Dad. They're just watching. But Josh had him filling out spreadsheets and actually working, and he paid him. He got paid to do it, and he felt like a champion when he came home last night.
Yeah, and it wasn't fake work. I wasn't tricking them or just being like, hey, bud, just play on this Excel spread. No, like I had a data set in a spreadsheet that had some bad data in it, and I needed it cleaned up, and it was grunt work, and he's only 8, and it was super hard, and he had to do hundreds of rows in the spreadsheet. It took him hours. But he broke it into little chunks, which we'll talk about in a minute. He set little goals. He did 20, and then he took a break and drank a Gatorade and came and talked to me. Then he'd do another 40, and then he's like, man, I think this next time I can do 50. And then he did 50, and he was like collapsing after doing 50 rows. And, at the end of the day, he made $40 and actually accomplished something that I really did need done and didn't want to deal with myself. I thought it was really cool.
And when we went to the store last night, he had his $40 in his pocket, and he's like, I have to spend at least $1. So I let him spend $1. I mean, he could have spent it all if he wanted to, but he just wanted to spend $1 because he wanted to feel really accomplished.
Well, and he was productive. The way that he was productive was by breaking his large, overwhelming task into little bitty sprints. And you guys hear me say focus. It's an acronym of the word focus. Follow one course until success. And inside our business, there's lots of things that are broken. There's lots of areas that need our attention, but we can't do all of them at the same time. So we have to prioritize, pick something, and then focus on that one thing. And you do that, a couple of quick tips just to start off with, is by building a weekly plan and a daily plan. So whatever kind of business you have, whatever the biggest pain point is, whatever the biggest blind spot is, let's break that down. If it's something simple, it could just be 1 or 2 line items on your daily plan to accomplish something. If it's big, maybe you add it to your weekly plan a couple weeks in a row, but then you reverse engineer little bitty chunks. And with that being said, look, this stuff's out there. This isn't like, new revolutionary things. The problem is, and maybe we should talk about this, nobody does it. Why do you think people don't do it? They know how to make a list. They know it needs to be done, but they don't actually make the list, and they don't actually prioritize it, and then they don't actually focus, follow one course till success, on that first top most important item. Why don't we do it?
I don't know exactly. I think we have we get our emotions involved. We kind of get overwhelmed, like we said before. But if you were to plan out these things, you can conquer overwhelm. But I see this a lot. I am on so many platforms for entrepreneurs now online, and I see them having all of these decisions to make. And especially with marketing and different things, they have all these ideas, and they just actually need to go do them. And so I think we just get stuck in a rut. And we have a hard time believing in ourselves that we can actually accomplish things. Self-limiting beliefs. I know you love to say that.
Yeah, they're real.
And they put those constraints on them. And it's hard if you look around the world, and there's so much social pressure and cultural pressure and all these things going on in the world. And so we are just got a lot going on in our lives.
Right. And people, what happens too is they're perpetual consumers of information like this podcast. There's a lot of people. I get emails every single week of people that say, oh, Josh, I've listened to every one of your podcasts. There's over 100 of them now. That's amazing. I love that. That's why I made it. It makes me feel really good that people get value. But if you're not coupling your learning with execution, then you're tricking yourself. And I think a lot of the reason people don't put things to paper and start knocking things off the list is it's a complex form of procrastination, where you still feel like you're working, you still feel like you're doing something because you're learning, or you're strategizing, or you're writing down 10 ideas for marketing. That's not the same thing as being actually productive. Okay? It's not the same thing. So don't trick yourself. You got to have massive execution. You can have very limited knowledge and still crush it. And here's a good question. Mark Cuban, I think it was 7 years he worked on his first business, broadcast.com. He sold it for like $100 million or something. And that's kind of what got him his initial money to eventually become a billionaire. But he worked for 7 years relentlessly, total focus. He paid himself almost nothing, and he did that in 7 years. Well, a lot of you guys have had a business for 7 years. Did you sell it for $100 million? I mean, I didn't. So what is the difference? It's not the time. What is the difference? What did he do that we didn't do? Did he get lucky? If you believe that, you're listening to the wrong show, because I don't buy that for a second. He was just producing at a super high level. And even though maybe 5 years of the 7 was laying the foundation for what would eventually become a hyper valuable company, he was doing all that stuff. No one knew it. No one saw it, but he did. And was he organized and focused? Of course he was. So we have to actually make the list. My last point, sorry I'm rambling, is that people disregard the simple advice. They want some magical new secret solution. They're scouring content saying, oh, where's that one little ninja trick? Well, most of the ninja tricks are super simple. Like Warren Buffett, his investment strategy is super basic, really. He tries to buy undervalued companies to buy and hold. Like, duh, right? He's very disciplined in the way that he invests. And when I tell you got to make a list and prioritize it and have a weekly and daily plan, that might not sound sexy to you, but the reason you're struggling is because you're not freaking doing it.
Just to piggyback on that, I think if we're really getting to the root of taking massive action, because I see a lot of people on these forums as well, like asking everybody else's opinion, which I think is wise because there's a lot of great mentors out there that can help. You know, they have done trial and error, and so they can help you. But one thing is you do have to go do it. But here's the root of it. We're really scared to fail. We have a huge fear of failure. And so if we just keep on having things ideas instead of actually acting on them, when you act on them, you have the risk of failing. And that's very scary. No matter what you're doing, no matter what business, no matter in your family, you're putting yourself out there. You do not want to fail. But if you don't get out there and start producing, you will fail. You are already failing.
Yeah.
So you need to just take those steps, be brave. You have to be so brave to be an entrepreneur. And you have to believe in yourself. I know that's with self-limiting beliefs, but that's really what it is believing in yourself and just taking that step out and being brave.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give you guys some more practical tips, too, talking about this. Because I think that working really freaking hard, especially this time of year as this podcast is being produced, that's what you're supposed to do. Go do it. If you're working 30, 40 hours a week and you have a business and it's not a beast, you're doing it wrong. Like, it's okay to sacrifice and to work really hard. And part of my story is, well, I had a business and I automated it and I only had to work 3-4 hours a week on it for 2 years. That's true. I did that. But the reason that worked is because I worked 89 hours a week for years before that, right? Putting the things in place.
Yeah, I remember one time my cousin, bless her heart, she said, my husband has been working so much. He worked, she said 60 hours this week. And I was thinking in the back of my head, oh, if my husband only worked 60 hours, it'd be so glorious.
That's a part-time job if you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And so I remember when you were first setting up your website, you would work until like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Right. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything, but I was building it anyway. I got it out there, minimum viable product. Throw it out there. You got a marketing idea? Sketch it out, a rough draft, and instantly do it and test it. Do stuff, create things, build things. Look, a lot of the times the people that are bringing you down and saying, well, man, maybe you shouldn't work so hard. Give yourself a break. Take it easy, man. Enjoy life. Those people aren't producing stuff. Those people are uncomfortable by your level of dedication and success, or at least your attempt to get success. It freaks them out, okay? And they're trying to drag you down. Don't listen to that crap. Cut it out of your life. And one of the best ways to do that is through accountability. So here's one of the points. I'm in a mastermind group. I've been in it for 18 months. We set goals in my mastermind group, little ones. I call them sprints. Each week, all 3 of us in the group say what we will have accomplished by the next week. And if we don't do it, something bad happens. And we do this to ourselves. Like for me, being from Michigan, our arch enemy is the Ohio State Buckeyes, worst team in the history of the world. A little love to Ron and Casey, who both are Buckeye fans in my mastermind group. But I have to pay their athletic department a financial gift every time I don't hit my goal. And now I'm on their email list because I've not hit my goal a few times. But the point is, you got to be accountable to somebody. So if you're focused and you have your weekly and daily plans and you tell what those plans are to someone else, that's a huge way to guarantee yourself that you'll actually make progress.
I just have to say, we have tons of people in Ohio. I will support your Buckeye.
You can't support the Buckeyes.
The Ohio State. Well, you have, so you support their athletic department.
I know, and they don't have an unsubscribe option on their email list. They're like violating some email thing or something. It's driving me insane. But it does take massive action and productivity hacks. So another thing I wanted to talk about was Pomodoro. So Pomodoro, I have this little book, a little black book. It's called the Productivity Planner. I don't use it every single day. I probably should. I'm not naturally organized, but it's a very powerful tool, and they're cheap. They're like $20. And what it does is when you make your weekly and daily plans and you list out the top 5 most important things that need to get done that week, whether it's data mining a list of commercial contacts, property managers, gatekeepers, real estate agents, anybody that can get you business, whether it's, fixing that truck or getting something wrapped or doing that marketing campaign you've been putting off, or it's cold calling your past customers, or it's doing employee performance reviews because you're supposed to and you never do it, whatever it is. You write down your top 5 for the week and then your top 5 for the day in this little book. And then once you have them listed, you do what are called pomodoros, which is it's a weird word, right? Pomodoro means tomato in Italian. And I forget why it's named that, but the idea is this: you work for 25 minutes relentlessly towards the thing at the top of your list. That's it, 25-minute sprints. And what I like to do is turn everything on airplane mode, turn your notifications off, shut it off, and you focus for 25-minute super burst, and you'll make a bunch of progress. When you're done, take a 5-minute break, and then do it again, and then do it again. So if you did it 3 times, you would have done 3 Pomodoros. Eventually, that first thing on the list is accomplished, right? And then you go to the second, do it again. You go to the third, you do it again. And so this idea of time blocking, where you dedicate very laser-focused little blocks, little sprints of time to doing one thing at a time, is super powerful. It's one of those things that all of the millionaires and billionaires I've ever heard talk about this, all of them live by this. It's part of their DNA. They can't not focus at this point. But all the little businesses would rather read forums and blogs and try to find some secret little sauce to increase their website conversion by 3% when none of it matters. You need to do the big stuff. You got to do the high level stuff, and Pomodoro and time blocking can help with that. That doesn't really translate into your world directly, Ashley, but do you have anything to add to that?
You said that people are looking for the secret sauce. I think entrepreneurs need to be the secret sauce. They need to be the people that go and get the stuff done. They cast major vision. They hold themselves at an accountability that's higher than their employees. And they are the secret sauce. They're the ones who are going to get it done. Now, you can start systems to get things done so you don't have to be in the work field. I'm not saying you always have to be there, but you are the secret sauce that's going to change your business.
That's really good. I like that. You are the secret sauce. The secret thing you're looking for is your own self. You're just not using yourself correctly. And look, I'm guilty of this. We all are. But look, with us, we started several businesses now. I sold 2, and I'm going to sell another 2 hopefully in the next 30 months. And everything we've sold was nothing. It didn't exist. It was just an idea. We've went from idea, vision, to implementation, to struggle, to perseverance, to systemization, to selling. Right? And it's a natural cycle, and it's front end loaded with gobs of work, and you'll make lots of mistakes. Who cares? You just do it anyway. You got to put in the time, and you got to be organized and doing the right things. And I think when people feel overwhelmed, it's because they're working hard, working a lot of hours, but they don't feel like they're moving. Like a car, and you're trying to drive, and there's oil on the road, and the wheels are spinning, but you're not going anywhere. That's what you feel like is happening in your business so often. And the way to break that, to break that belief pattern, to break that behavior pattern, is to get focused, make a list, get accountability, take massive imperfect action, and just to start, okay? I saw this awesome video this morning before we recorded this. Someone posted in our boot camp private Facebook group. It was Will Smith, and he was talking about when he went skydiving. And he was out partying with his friends, and someone's like, we should do tomorrow? We should go skydiving. And everybody's like, yeah, awesome, totally. They're high-fiving. They're probably all drinking and partying, right? Well, the next morning, they wake up, and Will Smith goes into a total panic. And he's like, oh my God. All of us just said we're going to go skydiving. And then he kind of goes down to the lobby, and everybody's like getting in the van to go. And he's like, oh my God, this is happening. He said he couldn't sleep. He was freaking out. The fear was so intense. He's going to die. And he didn't want to look like a fool, right? Because everybody was going. So he just keeps going, and he's sick, and he wants to throw up. And he gets in the plane, and they go up to 14,000 feet. And then the guy opens the door, and the wind's blowing, and Will Smith says, he realized that this is the first time I've been on a plane with the door open. Okay, this is interesting. And then the guy counts down, 1, 2, and he kicks him out the door on 2 because people grab onto the edge on 3. And he flies down. He said within a second of being in free fall, within a second of being out the door, he realized that this was the greatest experience of his life, that there was zero fear. It was total bliss. And what's really cool about that is that I know what that feels like in business when you take a big risk, you put yourself out there, and you realize this isn't that scary. What's really scary in business is all the stuff leading up to it, leading up to you doing the cold calls, leading up to you making your first hire, leading up to you selling that big job that you're not sure how to quote and it freaks you out. But when you just do it and go for it, it's not that bad. It's not that scary. In fact, it's exhilarating. And if you learn to live in that spot where you're continuously uncomfortable and you're continuously pushing the boundaries and the envelope of what you've done before, if you just be comfortable being uncomfortable, your business will just become a rocket ship. And I know that my wife has seen that in our life, right?
Yes, I have. And one thing that I would say to that is put people around you that are going to help you be productive. Because his friends were helping him get in the plane. Mm-hmm. But they're, probably if he would have called his wife, she would have been, not that I'm saying you shouldn't call your wife in business, you should. But
sometimes maybe not.
Sometimes maybe not. There's a lot of times I don't need to know everything because it just stresses me out. And we've found this great balance of what I should know and what I shouldn't know about business. But sometimes you can get inside your own head, but you can also have people get inside of your head of, just kind of talking into either helping you or hurting you of being productive. Mm-hmm. So you need to really be careful of who you let. Be very
careful. I see this constantly, especially on Facebook, because I think people get confused between the difference between opinions and advice. They're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. And we don't have information overload. What is it? We saw this somewhere. Me and you were talking about this. We have opinion overload. That is the problem with all this information, with all the blogs and the things you can read and the opinions. And even your spouse who maybe is speaking out of fear saying, oh, no, we can't get that second truck yet. What are you talking about? Or your parents say, why don't you just get a normal job? Why are you doing this to yourself, man? Come on. It's okay. Most businesses struggle. It's not your fault. Just switch. We're getting all these unsolicited opinions that are unqualified. They're unqualified opinions. Don't confuse other people's opinions, especially on Facebook or the forums, as being the same thing as advice. You take advice from people who have already done the thing that you're up against. And opinions, they can be useless.
Yes. You have to be very careful. There are opinions everywhere. That's why Facebook people defriend everybody. That's why, you know what I mean? Like, opinions can become very heated. And they can feel very real. Like it's like if you're going against what someone else's opinion is, that you're doing the wrong thing. Do the right thing for you, for your business, for your area. Also, all over the world, there's different culture norms and different social norms. You know your culture. You're living inside of where you're doing business. Know what works for you.
Trust your gut, man, because making bad decisions is still better than making no decisions.
Yes.
It just is. You just got to make decisions. There's a book on my shelf over there called Decide. Decide. That is an execution type of word. Just decide. It's happening. Boom. It's done. You're confused if you should make the hire for the employee. Make the decision and own it immediately. I did a coaching call last week with someone, and we broke down, okay, what do we do? He's like, I could do this. I could do that. I said, stop. Let's pick which one we're doing right now, up or down, black or white, which one makes the most sense. And he's like, well, I think I should hire. Boom, we're hiring. That's over. That's done. That's been decided. That's happening. There's no questioning it anymore. There's no nothing. Now let's talk about how we're going to make that happen. And so you can spend weeks saying, should I, shouldn't I? I don't know. Should I go green or blue? Do I go up or down? Do I go left or right? Make a decision. Trying to have a perfect decision is impossible. In fact, they've done studies on CEOs, and one of the big metrics that is common among hyper successful CEOs is that they make decisions very quickly. They'll get some advice, not opinion. They get advice from competent people. They look at the facts and they make a decision. It has nothing to do with them always making the correct decision. It has to do with them making a decision. Because when you're indecisive, everything stops in your company. Everything stops in your mind. It's like pushing pause. I think that's why so many people I've talked to have 10 or 15 or 20-year-old businesses and just nothing's changed. They've been indecisive on where they're going, indecisive on what they want. They have total fear on making decisions and moving forward, and they trick themselves into thinking, well, it's just a good family business, and, this is just the way it's supposed to be. No, it's not. It doesn't have to be that way. What do you think?
Well, I'm just going to give just something that you said triggered something in my mind, and I just wanted to speak to the spouses of the bunch, and maybe just kind of share a little bit about how I've evolved as a business person's spouse. Something I used to do is I used to give my opinion about the business very early on. And I'm also a very emotional creature. Is that true or false, Josh?
That's true. That's true.
And so I would take it personal when he didn't use my advice or what was really an opinion. But I would get very emotional about that. And sometimes I would not see the end result. I have to really be spoken vision into. So my husband has to remind me of the vision of where we're going sometimes. And something that has really helped my husband produce and us to produce together is to encourage. I don't know where I'm just kind of pulling
No,
this
this
from.
is going perfect because you know how many people are discouraged? Listen to this. You know how many people are getting, it's like they're dragging around a 50-pound weight on their ankle trying to do what's best for their family to the best of their ability, but it makes it almost impossible if you are married and there's not unity on the vision for the business.
And I have had a few wives and girlfriends and different things have contacted me saying, how do you do this? And I would say sit down and start thinking of how you like to be encouraged and how your spouse likes to be encouraged. So I just started this thing where I'm just kind of me. I mean, you find what's you and do it. But I love to leave notes for people. So I always leave encouraging notes for the staff. If we have people come in from out of town, I leave them notes. I leave them voice messages sometimes. I just remind people where we're going. Even if I don't believe it myself, I know where we're going in my mind. And so it's a maturity thing of setting things that will make people happy. Like,
it's really funny as you say this because on the whiteboard right behind us where we're recording this is a note you left me on my whiteboard. Because you do this all the time. We just had some guests fly in from Oregon, another one from New Jersey. You left them notes. I didn't tell you to do that. You just do it. It's hard baked into you. And people love it. And it is encouraging. I'm going to read the one on my whiteboard. It says, I love you, with the exclamation point with a little heart as the period under the exclamation point. Great detail. Great attention to detail. And it says, have a blessed day. Keep pushing on. Trust in the Lord. Stay focused. That is like nitrous oxide in my business gas tank. It really is. You walk in with all the stress. It's a huge deal. But there is a flip side to this, and that falls in the weight of the person running the business. And you have to lead your family well. You have to lead your spouse well. You have to communicate vision. A lot of people that are poor communicators struggle in business. If anything, you have to over-communicate. And communication is a generic term, but with your employees, with your family, you have to set expectations, right? And you have to revisit it all the time. I always use the analogy, what if I only told you I loved you on our wedding day and I forgot to say it again?
Yeah, that'd be tough.
And then every time we have a fight, you're like, you don't even love me. And I say, what are you talking about? I told you I loved you 15 years ago when we got married. Good grief. Why do I have to keep repeating myself, right? We do that as owners. We think because we told somebody something, because we communicated vision or how to do a system, that's it. That's not it. That's step one out of 193 steps. You have to be a relentless broken record on this is who we are, this is where we're going, this is why we're going there, and this is when I think we're going to get there, over and over and over.
I think this is really key. You are a team. With your staff, you are a team. Hopefully you're leading that team. With your family, you're leading your family. You have to have great teamwork. And what happens with great teamwork is great communication. Mm-hmm. You have to communicate where you're going, how you're going to do it. You might not have to have every detail down, but teamwork.
And you're constantly talking about it. Constant communication, constantly. And I wasn't going to talk about this, but there's this word called abdication. And when you abdicate jobs or responsibilities to other people, that's bad. And what it means is, because it's a weird word, I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but when you have a leadership style by abdication, what it means is that you put people around you, you think that you have a team, you think that you're leading them, but really you're not. What you're doing is you're hoping that they figure it out. You're hoping they put two and two together. They don't have the tools, the systems, the guidelines, the directions, the step-by-step, and the coaching and the communication to actually effectively do their job. And so you hire an employee, and they fail, and you say, I can't find any good help. And you hire another one, and they fail again, and then you say, I can't find any good help. If that keeps happening to you,
it's not a help problem.
We need to look at you and your leadership style. And you have to be so clear. You have to be so relentless in your over delivery of what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to do it, what time they're supposed to be there, and the 3 steps to do this, and how to check the oil in the thing, and what to do this, and the end of the day paperwork. It has to be crystal clear. And maybe you found bad help, but a lot of you guys are leading by abdicating responsibilities, hoping that someone will figure it out and save the day and just magically, and we do that with our spouse. It's like, why doesn't she understand where we're going? Why doesn't she know everything I do is for this family? Blah, 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 right?
Oh, is that what they sound like?
That's what they sound like.
Is that what you sound like?
That's what I sound like. I've done this a lot, and it's bad. And we need to recognize it in ourselves. The last point I have on our list, Ash, for productivity hacks and ninja tricks, and then we'll recap, is to score yourself. We need to score ourselves. And so when you're doing your Pomodoros, when you're doing your daily and weekly productivity kind of checklist with your top 5 things, at the end of the day, give yourself a score. In the productivity planner, it has a little score at the bottom, just 1 through 10. And be hard on yourself and be honest, but just document kind of how focused you were. I have mine right in front of me, and there's a couple days in here where I scored myself a 2 and a 3 out of 10. Because that was the truth. I probably went down a YouTube rabbit trail or something happened that derailed my day. But put it on there. That way you start measuring it, because whatever you measure will improve. If you don't measure it, it can't improve. If you don't weigh yourself, you can't lose weight. How do you know if you lost weight, right?
I love where you're going with that. I just wanted to talk about leadership, because leadership is like my thing. It's what I was trained to do for 11 years. I've went all over the country taking leadership classes and doing different things with leadership. But when you are leading your employees, it is super beneficial to take extra time to be very clear about your expectations. It will take more work to train them on how you want the truck to look. It will take more work to do certain things on the front end of that. Mm-hmm. But if you set the expectations very clear in the beginning, mm-hmm. then you only have to do maintenance on the leadership.
Absolutely. 100% true. I mean, mic drop right there. We have to over-communicate in the beginning. Very, very true. Good stuff. Let's recap. We started out by talking about man was designed to produce. So my question to you, to encourage you, hopefully, not to discourage you, but maybe you need a wake-up call here, is are you producing or are you just working really hard?
And when he says man, he means man and woman. He just means...
in the biblical sense.
In the general form. I just want to clear that up.
Yeah, like mankind.
Yes, mankind.
Mankind was designed to produce. We have tons of female listeners and entrepreneurs. Tons of them.
Oh, I know. That's why I was including them.
Yep, and I love them, and they're super smart, and they're crushing it. A lot of these, it's amazing. So mankind was designed to produce. You were designed to produce. So ask yourself, are you producing? Is the needle moving? Okay? If it's not, then shake things up and have a behavior disrupt moment, right? And how do you produce? How do you become productive? You have to focus. Follow one course until success. How do you focus? How do you know what to focus on? You have a weekly plan and a daily plan. You list your top 5 most important things that need to get done. Not the things that are in your brain, the things that are written down on the paper that you can focus on one at a time. Another way to be highly productive is to have accountability. This isn't just another way. This is a requirement. You have to have a small group of trusted advisors, people on your same level or above you, that you can bounce things off of and tell your goals to every week, so that you'll actually follow through. The next step is to take massive, imperfect, terrifying action. Jump out of the plane like Will Smith did. Just do it, because there's no fear when you're in the middle of your standing right in front of Goliath, right? It's the overthinking it on the way to getting the stone out of the river and walking up to Goliath. Once you're swinging your sling and you let that rock go, you're going to feel like King Kong. And that's the way it always is. The first time I public spoke, it was horrifying. I hated it. Right? But I got up there, and after about 3 minutes of awkwardness, I loved it, and it was fun. It was an amazing thing. I've done lots of things I'm uncomfortable with. I've flown all over the country this last year. I've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for different projects. I've sold 2 companies. I've started podcasts. I started a software business. I don't even know anything about software, and we're starting to crush it. We do webinars. We make sales, and we're hiring people. I don't know how to do any of those things, but I just did them, and now I do. Pomodoro technique. Spend 25 minutes at a time doing sprints, little short bursts of highly focused effort on one thing at a time. You also want to score your productivity, because what's measured will improve. Anything else before we wrap it up?
I can't think of anything just besides be brave. You can do it. Stay focused. yeah, it's a hard time of year. It's a really hard time of year for a lot of businesses out there.
I always tell people to walk through the fire, and we're getting ready to start that this time of year. You know, we got April and we got May, June, July. It's about to happen. So let's get prepared. Let's get organized, everybody.
Absolutely.
Let's recap why we're doing this 3-part series, okay? The theme here is how do you kill overwhelm, get clarity, and start loving your business again. Falling back in love with your business. How do you do it? Well, yesterday we talked about overwhelm, and at the end I invited you to a special exclusive event in Ludington, Michigan, where you can spend time with me directly, one-on-one, and my wife, and 30 other entrepreneurs and their spouses for a very, very special type of business event. It's not a business conference, quote unquote, because that doesn't even come close to describing what we have planned here. This is a very unique thing that really isn't available, and I see a need for it. And the ability to get away and get quiet and to go for a walk in the woods on our 23-acre property and then come back to have a small mastermind group with some of the other CEOs of multi-million-dollar businesses that I'll fly into this event to get one-on-one help, and not just the nerdy business stuff, but just to get excited again, to get clear on your goals and your vision, to get in alignment with your spouse is highly, highly, highly valuable. And we overlook how important something like this can be sometimes. And so the podcast 2, which is today, is on productivity. I want you to work your guts out. I want you to work 100 hours a week for a small season so that you can get the goal. But there's a time to work and produce, and there's a time to push pause. We want to invite you to join us at the Automate, Grow, Sell live experience, which is a live event. It's in late October. It's exclusive. It's half sold out now. You only have to put a deposit down on half. I want you to stop and go get information on this and look at it. It's going to be completely amazing. Just go to automategrowsell.com/experience. Send me a private message if you can on Facebook, or track down my email on the podcast website. If you have questions, if you're serious, we do vet the people that apply, and not everybody will be accepted. But if you feel in your gut that that's a thing that's important that you need to look into, do it right now. Don't put it off. What do you think is going to be happening at the experience, Ash?
Well, I already know what's happening at the experience, but I can't tell because a lot of it is a secret. One thing I would like to clarify, though, is that we do have 30 businesses coming, but we wanted it to be even more intimate than that. So we broke it up into 2 different sessions. So where we have 15 businesses come and then another 15 businesses. And we want you to bring someone that's on your team, kind of like what we talked about today. Someone that's going to go home with you, that's going to inspire you, that's going to keep you on track and keep you accountable. That could be your spouse, that could be your rock star employee, that could be, your friend. I don't know who it is going to be in their life. But the one thing I am super excited for is the people that are already signed up. I just can't wait to meet them.
We have very good group.
I might be freaking out a little bit.
Very, very, very good group.
Like when I have this thing that I send out after they have been accepted and different things, and the goals that people are writing back and the things that they're writing about gets me so fired up. Mm-hmm. I am just beyond excited. And the event, the surprises that are coming, no one can even put it in their mind what's happening. They can't even conceive what's going to be happening here.
It's going to be so weird and amazing and so great. That's why we're calling it the experience. I promise. It will be a very memorable experience. And everything's included.
Yes.
They don't even have to bring a pen. Don't even bring a pen and paper. Look, you show up in Grand Rapids. Please bring clothes, though. Bring clothes. Bring it's clothes. Not a nudist colony. But everything, your food, your lodging, all of the entertainment, and there will be plenty, and all of the business materials and everything will be just done for you, because the whole idea is for you to be able to push pause on your brain for a few days and to get clear.
Yesterday we talked about the golden squeegee, the very first golden squeegee. That's what I think people are going to be missed. I'm going to be really sad for the people who are like, oh, I missed the first one, and they're going to see pictures and like maybe video of
a helicopter.
Okay, no helicopter.
I want a helicopter so bad.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. But I just want you to be a part of it. Be a part of the first one. Just step out there. I think you're going to really enjoy it.
They're going to love it.
Maybe we're just going to enjoy it more than everybody
else. We're like giddy, but
we are giddy.
This is our first live event, so we're gonna do it right, and it's gonna be amazing.
It is our first live event, but it's not our first time hosting people.
No.
This is what I've been doing for the last...
This is kind of your thing for over a decade.
So that's why everybody can see the change in my voice, that I'm like, I really, when I say I'm excited about it, like, I think about it every day. Every day.
What should they do? They should go to automategrowsell.com/experience. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Hey, thanks for hanging out, friends. And from all of us here at the Quick Talk Podcast team, we hope you loved today's show. We hope that you were inspired to become a doer and not just a listener. Apply what you've heard today in your own business and watch things change for the better. Lastly, remember that all the money in the world can't save your soul. Seek first the kingdom of God, my friends. We'll see you next time.
For more information about the Quick Talk Podcast or Joshua's other businesses, visit our website, quicktalkpodcast.com. Have a blessed day.